talk about correlation and regression. Correlation is how two different variables relate to one another. You can have a positive association where both increase at the same time, such as amount of studying you do and the grades that you get, or a negative association here, such as the length of the grass and how often you mow it. You also can have varying strengths in the correlation. If they are strongly compact and look almost on a line, then they are really strong. It doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. Here, they're a little bit more spread apart than this one. So this one is a weaker correlation than this one. Or we can have no correlation whatsoever where there doesn't appear to be any sort of line. It's just a bunch of spots. On a spectrum, you can have correlation between -1 and +1. But really, it's just a range from 0 to 1, depending on how strong it is. So the closer it is to 1, the stronger the association. The negative and positive just tells you whether or not it's a positive or a negative association. So, relatively, on a scale, anything that is from -0.8 to -1 would be strong. Moderate would be -0.8 to -0.5. Weak would be anything from -0.5 to +0.5. And likewise, moderate and strong would fall in these categories as well. So whether or not it's weak or strong or moderate doesn't matter whether it's negative or positive. It's just the value, absolute value of these numbers here. Negative and positive just tells it direction. Let's take an example. This here is data that we collected on a population on farms during various years. We think, as we look at this, that as the years go by, there is a decrease in the population of people on the farm. To figure out the correlation and everything like that, we can plug it into our calculator by following these steps here. You're going to put all the information in your list, with the years being in list 1, and those would represent the X values, and the population in list 2, which would be our Y values. Then you do these steps here to calculate what the linear regression would be. And the format here is AX plus B, which would give you a line. And after plugging all of our data into the list and following these steps here, determining once they're in your home screen, telling it to get the X values from list 1, comma, the list 2 for the Y values. Once we do that, our home screen should tell us okay, here, this tells us that these values get plugged into this equation for a line, best fit line. R here is the abbreviation for correlation. So as we can see, it's negative, which is what we guessed, because it would mean that as time goes by, population decreases. So this would be a negative association here. And it's close to 1, so that means there's relatively a strong correlation between the two. One thing to keep in mind is that association does not imply causation. So even though this has a negative association and